Thought I had a wonderful idea to get our family together to create a radio ad with everybody in the family saying something that Clean Impact can help with at a local office. Thought it would be exciting to get them involved. I thought it would be wonderful and it was going to build great memories. Instead, the exact opposite happened. This ad that's going to be playing on the radio has a much deeper meaning now to me, to my son, and to my family. It's pretty interesting to see the emotional roller coaster you can go on through this. So what happened is we were recording the ad. We were in the van recording an ad, so you can get good sound going on in there. And I said my part. My wife said her part. My son said his part flawlessly. And my daughter said her part. She goofed up on a couple of things, so we had to redo it again. So I said my part again. My wife said her part. Riker said his part flawlessly. Rayleigh again. She had a tougher part to say, so we had to record again. My son got frustrated. He said, "Dad, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore." I said, "Okay." So I tried the rational approach and said, "Okay, son, I understand that. This is very important to our family. We have a deadline we need to meet. We need to get this stuff done, and it's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be excited about this." He said, "Dad, I'm just not feeling it right now." I said, "Son, I've mentioned this is very important to us," and we all tried to rationalize with him about how important this was. And in national or in 6-year-old fashion, he just started getting very emotional. He started getting sad about it. Said, "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done." And again, we tried to get this wrapped together and keep our cool when it came to this stuff, and he just refused to do it. And he got very emotional, and he lost his shit. He started crying and saying, "I'm just done. I'm just not feeling it, Dad. Let's do it another time." We had a deadline to meet, and I was trying to explain this stuff to him. He kept escalating his emotions to a louder cry, and it's just not wanting to do it. And I got frustrated. I lost my shit. This is something I haven't done in years, but I went into full rage mode. It wasn't anymore about the family participating in a fun activity and building these bonds. I went to rage mode automatically. I couldn't control it, and I was mad. And I called him a jerk. I called him selfish. I didn't say you're acting like a jerk or acting selfish. I said you are selfish. And this is something that mentally stuck with him. It's going to stick with anybody. If somebody's calling you a jerk, you're not saying you're acting like a jerk. That's different. That's a present moment thing. But if you are a jerk, that means you're personally a jerk. And that was not okay. If you are selfish, that means you're personally selfish. Now you're acting selfish. That's what I should have said. So I lost my shit. He got out of the van, went inside crying. And this elevated to a scream cry. And I'm sure all the parents can relate to this. Emotional, over the top, just crying. That did not help out the matter any. I got more frustrated. And I was angry and I was enraged by what was happening and him not understanding the logic behind what we were doing. So I grabbed his arm and I pinched his butt and I sent him upstairs to his room. And he's crying again. And this was not okay. And my wife looked at me. She said, "What's going on?" And I had no words for it. I had to dig deep and understand what the hell I was thinking and why I was so upset with a 6-year-old for being emotional. I'm a grown man. I talk about these things all the time on how to control yourself and how to be a better leader and a better example. And here I am, the monster in the room, the person I don't want to be, the person I talk about not being with our family. I was that guy. After a conversation, I calmed down for about 2 seconds and I went upstairs and I explained to my son. I said, "Son, it was not okay for me to act the way I did. It was not okay for me to be enraged and to be so upset about this. It was not okay, and I apologize." And before I could get that out, he himself apologized. He said, "Dad, I'm sorry I acted that way too." We were both apologizing at the same time. So I thought that was good. I sent him to the shower, to the bathroom. He kept calling up for his mom. I said, "She's not coming up here to talk to you right now. She's not going to." So I went downstairs. I let him get in the bathtub, in the shower, to start a shower process. And I went down and talked to my wife. And she said, "What's going on?" I said, "I'm just so upset right now." She said, well, I can't help you with that. What do you want me to do?" She said, "Maybe you can meditate. You shouldn't be upset with Riker." I said, "I'm not upset with Riker. I'm not upset with Riker at all. I'm upset with myself. I'm upset with the way I reacted, overreacted. I'm upset of overreacting and being a monster to my kid. That's what I'm upset about." She said, "Well, you need to go meditate. You need to go pray." So that's what I did. I said, "No, what I really need to do is I need to sit down and talk to Riker. We need to have a real conversation." So what escalated from a wonderful family moment, creating memories, to this nasty rage monster that came out, escalated back down to, okay, this is a good learning experience for me. It's a good learning experience for Riker. So we sat down in his room and had a great conversation. I said, son, I should not have acted emotionally. He said, well, Dad, sometimes you get loud. I get loud because I had to prove my point to you sometimes. Whenever I say things normal tone, it's act like you don't pay attention to what I'm doing. But if I elevate myself and get a little louder, then I get my point across. I said, then when I'm talking like to you about normal things like that, I'm not upset with you, son. I'm just trying to get a point across. But I was rageful this time. I was upset. And it's not okay for me to act that way. It's not okay for anybody to act that way. We need to be in control of ourselves a little bit more. We need to be a good example and a good leader. What am I teaching him? It's okay to just act out emotionally and be rageful and be yelling at people. That's not okay. That's not what you teach a 6-year-old. That's just something that's going to stick with them for a while. And it's stuck with me. It's something I had to get off my chest today. It's something that I hope that somebody else can learn from because I needed this. It's not okay to be rageful. So we had a wonderful conversation. And I explained to him very clearly, son, this is not how we act. We're on the same team. We're Team Kellis. We need to be on each other's side. We need to understand what's going on. So, great conversation. It really went wonderful, and it took a lot off my chest. But I'm still frustrated myself for letting this to escalate to that level that it did. So, after the fact, after everybody got done showering and stuff, my son came back down and said, "Dad, let's do this ad. I'm ready to do it." He had a different demeanor. His face was glowing, and we were proud of this. Let's try it out. Let's do it. So we went out there, and this time, whenever we're going around and people are goofing off and messing up a little bit, man, we were cracking up and laughing and building the bonding that we wanted from the first experience. We just had to go through this whole escalation and this whole array of things, emotions and senses before we came down to it. The ad turned out amazing. Can't wait for you guys to see the radio ad that our family put together. To show how Clean Impact and our family can help the community out. I'm going to be posting that. I'd like for you guys to check out the ad. But at the end of it, every time I listen to this ad and every time I reflect back on the what happened to get to this point, I'm reminded of myself to control our emotions, to think logically, to not be childish, to be a good example, to be a good leader, to learn from areas that we can always improve on. These are things that I've learned, and these are things that I'm going to think about every single time I hear this ad playing. And every time I can reflect back on this, I'm going to be reminded, family's important. Emotions need to be in check. Don't act emotionally. Don't act irrationally. Don't act like a freaking jerk. Or don't act like a freaking monster towards your kids because it's not going to serve anybody. It's not going to serve anybody. And you're not going to feel good afterwards either. A lot to work on. It was a long way to say we all continue to get better. We all continue to work on ourselves. We all strive to be a good leader and a good example and a good pillar of strength for our community. This is something that I'm working on right now. So we'll see how it goes down. I'll keep y'all posted. Keep an eye out for this radio ad and let me know what you guys think about it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. It's something different than what we've normally done. So I'll keep you guys posted. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.